Throughout our research, we discovered that if it wasn't for Doom, then first-person shooters would not be the same format as we know today due to innovations the game created and utilized. As mentioned before, the genre of Doom is first-person shooter. The player sees the game through the eyes of the protagonist, who is referred to only as Doom Guy. The goals of the game involve the player going through the levels of the game by killing any demons they encounter. To do this, one can choose from a variety of weapons and ways to eliminate their foes. Gameplay mechanics of Doom involve exploding barrels, moving platforms, sound immersion, and upgrades to the collection for the weapons in the game. Doom was an influential game at the time because it decided to use a 2.5 dimensional style of graphics during the era of 2D gaming, utilizing a technique known as ray casting. Doom utilized 2.5D graphics and created an innovative experience with it, with many fans and players remembering the gameplay style as a driving point of why they enjoyed the game. When the game first released, many people were impressed by the graphical advancements Doom had. Another aspect of the excitement comes from the different modes Doom has. There is the memorable single-player experience, but there are also multiplayer modes as well, such as death matches. Doom 1993 first released on computers through the Microsoft Disk operating system. However, there have been many ports to other platforms, which helped boost the popularity for this game even more, such as the Sega 32, the Atari Jaguar, the SNES, the PlayStation, and many others. Furthermore, various ports of Doom ended up being bestsellers. This game can be very important for gamers and their own video game experience as a whole.
Doom focuses more on gameplay mechanics than on story. Lots of popular FPS games use this idea as well. These mechanics are shown in both single-player and multiplayer game modes. Doom's famous story is about running, gunning, and killing demons. That's pretty much it for the story. For multiplayer, there was a death mode match. This player versus player combat idea was implemented in many FPS games after Doom, but the idea of the deathmatch originated in Doom. The game also uses the idea of immersion and sound to create a unique experience. Immersion is an important component to all FPS games. Doom and its predecessor, Wolfenstein 3D, allowed players to view the world through the eyes of a protagonist. Music impacts immersion as well. It creates a sense of depth and amplifies detail in the game. Doom's music is based on a metal rock style that propels the player through each level. Also, the music was associated with Satanism, violence, and the undead, all topics that can be linked to controversy. The creator of Doom, id Software, had a predecessor to Doom called Wolfenstein 3D that used music to create a sense of subjectivity and implemented national factors because of its setting.
When Doom first came out, the first-person shooter genre was arguably still in its infancy. Wolfenstein 3D is widely regarded as the catalyst and founder of the first-person shooter genre that many know and love today, but it wasn't actually the first game in the first-person shooter genre. Wolfenstein 3D may not have been the very first person shooter as the genre came to be known, but it was by far the most successful. Technically, the genre goes back to the 1970s, but no one really paid any attention to it. Even id Software released an earlier first-person shooter called Catacombs 3D, but again, it wasn't nearly as good as Wolfenstein. Ultimately, Wolfenstein had a huge impact on the development of Doom as it was its little brother, and without Wolfenstein, Doom may not exist today.
Wolfenstein 3D and Doom 1993 share a lot of similarities and differences in their gameplay. Separated by a year and a half, Doom followed the basic 3D shooter model that Wolfenstein 3D established. One of the similarities you can spot right off the bat is the status bar in Doom is very similar to Wolfenstein 3D, with the exceptions of a few changes to suit the new gameplay features of Doom. Doom also controls like Wolfenstein and the gameplay feels almost the same, just less choppy and more hectic. Doom would shift the enemies away from Wolfenstein's Nazis into demons, which allowed the developers for more creative freedom as well as enemy abilities. Doom would later be known for its many secret rooms, which again came from Wolfenstein 3D. To find the secrets in Wolfenstein 3D, the player would have to bump into every wall to find the secret room. ID Software changed this for Doom to make the secret rooms more rewarding and added clues to help find the secrets.
Doom 1993 was ported to many other consoles outside of computers and was followed by many popular games in the Doom series. Doom 2 Hell on Earth, Doom 3, Doom 2016, and Doom Eternal were all successful games. Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal were reboots of the series, but both games were considered for many awards. Doom continued to be popular throughout the years, all thanks to the influence that Doom 1993 introduced to the world. The original Doom was ported to many consoles like the PlayStation, Xbox 360, and many others. But members of the Doom modding community tried to port Doom onto stuff outside of consoles. Members attempted to port Doom onto a microwave, a calculator, and even a pregnancy test. Seeing where Doom could be run on contributed to Doom staying relevant even today. Doom helped the gaming industry and FPS games by having unique gameplay mechanics. Gameplay was more brutal and faster than Wolfenstein 3D. Barrel explosions were used that are seen in almost every modern FPS games. Doom had a vast selection of weapons that could be upgraded to do more damage. Some platforms could move and change locations as well. The Doom series wanted its newest game, Doom Eternal, to have a landscape like the original Doom. The level design of Doom 1993 was inspiring for future FPS games. Doom had a lot of content for its map, but some modern FPS games have a linear map design, so successful FPS games ultimately base their design on what Doom 1993 originally used.
Often thought of as one of the most controversial video games ever made, Doom found itself in hot water because of its hell symbolism, demons, and gore. Credited as a pioneer of realistic video game violence, Doom at the time was thought to be making it harder to separate games from real life. At a peaking point of its controversy, Doom earned a ban from Germany in 1994 from fear that it would harm the youth. Doom's 1.36 million sales again proved controversies never really hurt sales, they often help them. Doom and games like it are constantly battling in the talking points of whether or not violent video games cause violent behavior. Studies have not agreed on a consensus of whether or not video games cause violence, but they are leading towards an agreement that they could cause an increased level of aggression. Doom was used in a 2003 study to see if video games heighten aggressiveness with a sample of 121 students. Each student played Doom and took the implicit association test, and the results showed that Doom and other violent video games can increase aggression. Looking past the controversies, Doom has also created a lot of positives. Doom has a large and strong community that is still alive and active to this day. People are still modding the original Doom and giving the nearly 30-year-old game life again. Credited as having the first real modding community, Doom helped to shape the video game modding landscape as we know it by supplying modders with a technical foundation. ID Software themselves saw the opportunity in the modding community and supported it by releasing the original source code for Doom publicly in 1997. In recent years, Doom is being used as an AI research platform in VizeDoom. VizeDoom puts bots to tests using the Doom software. Some of the bots eventually learn to develop human-like behaviors. The project has been a success and useful for AI research.
Doom revolutionized the game industry with innovations that have been influenced and continue to influence many current games, even some that are not FPS games. The uniqueness of Doom and innovations that it introduced established the FPS genre and the Doom franchise. A community was formed from Doom that is alive and well in the present. The theme and ideas Doom 1993 established helped influence future iterations of Doom to the point where Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal 2020 were nominated for many awards. Future FPS games and even other modern FPS games could include gameplay mechanics and level design that can be linked back all the way to the original Doom.